here's a scientist who's always talking about the practical aspects of quantum reality or bodies or the placebo. And now he's talking about that the main factor is love. I love it. I love it. Comes back home. Hey, in that same chapter, we read that the power of the quantum is so incredible that well, let me back up a minute. So an electron, which is a particle, doesn't exist until you observe it. So if you look at this space and say, well, I wonder if an electron's here, then an electron's there. And if you look away, it disappears, goes back into wave. It only becomes a particle when it's noticed. Now we know that. We know that from our studies so far, that things only become particulate when they're observed. So that means that this universe is being observed. Now, we could say it's being observed by you. That's why it's in effect, but it's being observed by all of us. And it's also being observed by the divine consciousness of all. And we are the incarnations of that divine consciousness. So we inherit that divine consciousness. So we have the ability then to change reality by observing it differently. Physical reality and non-physical reality. And that's why Joe says that, and he says this in every one of his books, that you get up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, you shave or you wash or you shower or whatever, and you get your cup of coffee and your oatmeal or whatever, and you get in the same car and drive the same route to the same job and punch the same thing and go work with the same people doing the same thing every day, day after day after day after day. And I know that. I mean, I've been doing this for half a century and I've worked with thousands and thousands of people. And my attitude is that people get a job job. Now, I'm not talking about anything bad about having a career, but just stick with me for this. They get a job job that they don't particularly like, but it pays good. So they stay with it. And they work 5 days a week, sometimes 6. They get 2 weeks a year off. They work for 30 years, and then somebody gives them a golden colored watch. And then they get their RV and their heart attack. And that's life. That's not life. We were born to be channels of the light. And each one of us is a separate and different crystal. So each one of us radiate the light differently. And when we all radiate, when everybody radiates the light together, then we have the purity of light. Then we have the purity of oneness of God, which Jesus said, I and the Father are one. Said it again and again, I and the Father are one. This is what he was talking about. These things you see me doing, you will do these and more if you just have faith. If you just know who you are. And that's what he was telling us. So what we're doing right now is we're looking for that. We're looking for that extra thing. I have marked a couple of pages here in chapter 8. I want to read something to you. And if you want to follow along, that's up to you, but it's on page, first one is on page 182. Midway in the page, it says, when quantum physicists begin to look at the smaller and smaller aspects of the atom, like what makes up the nucleus, the closer the looked, the less distinct and clear the atom became until eventually it completely disappeared. Atoms, they tell us, appear to be 99 point, and then you can do 12 nines, 99.999999999% space, empty space it says here. But actually, it's not empty. It's actually filled with energy. More specifically, it's made up of a vast array of energy frequencies that form a kind of invisible, interconnected field of information. An invisible, interconnected field of information. That's the scientific name for Holy Spirit. Interconnected, where was I? Invisible, interconnected field of information and energy. Energetic intelligence, intelligent energy. So that means that every atom is 99.129% energy or information. That means that our known universe and everything in it, no matter how solid that matter may appear to us, is essentially just energy and information. That's a scientific fact. Just energy and information. So your body is energy and information. The camera that you're looking at is energy and information. The monitor in front of you, the desk that the monitor's sitting on, is energy and information. The subatomic particles are going in and out of that so continually that it has no solid matter at all. On the next page, I'd like to read to you. It's only when an observer focuses attention on any one location of any one electron that the electron actually appears in that place. Look away and the subatomic matter disappears back into energy. So according to this observer effect, physical matter cannot exist or manifest until we observe it, until we notice it and give it our attention. And when we're no longer paying attention to it, it vanishes, going back to whence it came. So matter is constantly transforming, oscillating between manifesting into matter and disappearing into energy, about 7.8 times a second. I'm going to read that again. So matter is constantly transforming, oscillating between manifesting into matter and disappearing into energy, about 7.8 times a second. As a matter of fact. And so because the human mind, as the observer, is then intimately connected to the behavior and the appearance of matter, you could say that mind over matter is a quantum reality. Another way to look at this, in a tiny world of the quantum, the subjective mind has an effect on objective reality. So we are, in fact, the creators of the matter around us by observing it, by appreciating it, by wanting it. You are observing your body, and you have the ability to observe it in whatever way you want it to be. I'll tell you why that's difficult. I mean, we can go through this class and we can read this book and we can really get it up here, and it's real easy. But changing your life means that you have to let go of your life. You have to let go of who you are now. You have to let go of all the things that you think are important to you now. Let go of that, let them go. St. Paul said, I die daily. I die daily. We can't get from here to there. We can't get to that utopian being that we want to be. We can't get to that Christness of being this sacred creator. While we're still lugging around the big sack of stuff over our shoulder that we call our past and our belongings and our identity of who we are, our identities. So we all think that we know who we are. We don't know who we are. If somebody asked me, who are you? And I was to answer truthfully, I would say, I don't know, because I don't know. Oh, I can tell you my name's Bob and I'm a minister and I'm an author and I'm a speaker, and I can go on and on with all that stuff. Those are just titles. None of those are who I am. I don't know who I am. In fact, you, my dear friend, looking at me right now, you know more about me than I know about me. I tell you that the truth, because you're hearing my voice. I've never heard this voice. I hear it inside of my head. I can hear it in a recording, but I've never really heard this. I've never experienced this personality. I don't know I don't know who Bob Trask is. I don't know what it feels like to have Bob Trask talk to me. I have no idea who Bob Trask is. The truth is, I don't know. And the truth of it is, it's not any of my business, because I came here to do the work, not to self-aggrandize. I came here for you and for all the rest of the people in the world. And you came here for me and for all the rest of the people in the world. So as we observe and bring into reality, let us bring into reality that which is holy and pure and beautiful. Let us observe that with our expectation that it will be so, with our knowledge that it will be so. Because your future, and Dr. Joe talks a lot about this, your future is either now or it's yesterday. Do you know what I'm saying? It's either now or it's yesterday. In other words, we're either bringing yesterday in and slopping it down in tomorrow and making it tomorrow, or it's now. And we're going to talk about that more throughout this class. But if you want life to be different in any way, then let it be different in your heart first. Feel it in your heart. Feel the joy of it being different. And then keep the vision. And the two will draw themselves together. But you can't get from here to there. If you're in Vancouver and you want to go to Ottawa, you can't say, I want to be in Ottawa, I want to be in Ottawa. You have to be in Ottawa. But you get on a plane and travel to Ottawa, but not in the physical, not in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, you have to just be in Ottawa. In the spiritual world, if you want to be in Ottawa, you have to be in Ottawa and stop being in Vancouver. You have, if you want to be filled with joy and Holy Spirit and a giver and a creator and feeling absolutely fulfilled in your life and making the largest difference of goodness you can in the world, you have to be there. You can't get there. You cannot get there. You can't work to get there. You have to be there. Now, maybe you have to work to be there, but you have to be there. And that's why meditation is so darned important, because meditation is the pathway to there. I'm going to shut up for a minute and see if you have any questions or thoughts about what I just said.
I just want to say something, Bob. Someone just put something in the chat about a really great movie that was made many years ago with Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray called What About Bob? And he basically, you know, he's creating his reality. It's an excellent movie about the placebo event or effect.
We have that movie and we watch it about every 6 months. Last time we were together, I was talking to somebody. I think maybe it was it Ralph? I don't know. I was talking to somebody about how you need to watch more happy movies. And I was telling them about Mixed Nuts. This is a movie that I was wishing that I had mentioned. What About Bob? It is so funny and it is so spiritually powerful. Rent it and watch it, or go on Netflix. I think it's probably on Netflix, but watch What About Bob? Anybody else? Okay. To create a new reality, my friend, you're going to have an elevated emotion. So it isn't enough to just have a vision, as I just said. You're going to have to get an emotion behind that. Because when you have a strong emotion, for instance, if you said, I'm going to write a book and I want it to be a top seller. I want to make at least $100,000 from this book. You can't just write the book and put it out there and hope that'll happen, because there's no creative power in that. You have to be able to feel the book being a top seller. You have to have the emotion behind it. Because when you have the vision, whether it's to heal your body or to have a bestseller, whatever it is, when you have the vision, and the vision has to be crystal clear, It can't be a vacillating vision. Oh, it's kind of like this and it's kind of like that. It has to be a clear vision. I sometimes use the example of somebody wants to have a cattle ranch in Montana. And so, and the person's not living in Montana, they're living in a city somewhere. They want to have a cattle ranch in Montana. What do? They can't just say, I want to have a cattle ranch in Montana. They have to see it. They have to see it. They have to, right down to the details. How many cattle? What kind of cattle? Heifers? What kind of cattle? How many cattle? Where's the market going to be? Is it going to be fenced in? How much land? Is it going to be pasture land or rough land? What about the barns and the hens and the house? And what does all that look like? And what's the income? And does it have to have income? Or are you going to be so wealthy that you don't need income? Or how's that going to work? All that has to be part of the vision. You have to have the details. I'm not saying you have to know how you're going to do it, but the vision itself has to be clear. You have to have a clear vision. You can't say, I want to get rid of my cancer. That's not a vision. I see my body being whole, well, and complete. I see my body being vibrant and healthy. I see and I know that that's true. And I can feel what that feels like. I can feel it. And the gladness that's in me in feeling that, the excitement that's in me from feeling it, that's the emotion. That emotion has to be tied to the vision because the emotion raises the frequency of vibration from, see the vibrations, as you read in this chapter, the vibrations that are very slow vibrations, that's close to matter. When the vibrations get really high, like with high emotions, then that's waves. And from waves we can transform things. From waves we can make different things happen. But you have to have the passion, you have to have the emotion that goes along with that vision. So if you want something to happen, you have to be able to bring it to you. And the difficult part of that, of course, the difficult part of that is you're fighting your swamp. You're fighting your subconscious mind. Because your subconscious mind says, oh, wait a minute, that's not true. So I've got this cancerous lump. And what am I going to do? I'm going to say, oh, I don't have a cancerous lump and it'll go away. Yeah, fat chance. You've got to get out of that. Jesus was saying, you can do these things that I've done and more. He also said, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to that mountain, move, and it'll move. And he meant it. It wasn't a metaphor. He meant it. Now, when he said faith the size of a mustard seed, think of that for a moment in your mind, a mind that's filled with doubt. Let it be for a minute, a mind that's filled with doubt, the darkness of doubt all around, your whole mind filled with doubt. But there's one tiny, tiny spot of light the size of a mustard seed. That's your faith. And if you focus on that light, if you focus on that faith and not on the darkness, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, if you focus on that, you can say to that mountain, move, and it'll move. So if you're trying to create a reality, if you're trying to heal your body, if you're trying according to Dr. Joe's methods here, divine methods, if you're going to raise your vibration and bring that healing about, then you have to have faith. You have to believe it. I don't mean false belief. I don't mean hype yourself up to pretending to believe. I mean know it. You need to know it. You need to know it. And will there still be doubts? Yeah, there'll still be doubts, but your focus is on the mustard seed. Your focus is on the prayer. Your focus is on the trust, on the faith. Your focus is not on the darkness, on the doubt. But you have to have that vibration. You have to have that emotion. So some of us, particularly at our age, we get to the place where we go, well, that's just kind of the way it is. Things just kind of go on. And how about that's about the way it is. And we just don't have much emotion anymore. Well, you got to get some emotion going again. You've got to get really excited about life. You got to really get excited about creating a new reality. You want the COVID thing to go away? So do I. Let's get excited about what it feels like to have a well country again. You want to have good things happen in your life that are not happening right now. Envision them and hold them in your heart and be glad for them having been already accomplished, and they will be accomplished. It's called the path of least resistance. Your mind can go in all these different directions and look at all these different things, and they're all difficult. But if you hold it on one thing and get your emotion behind it, the path between you and that thing is the path of least resistance. That's the path that thing will travel to you every time, every time. So, my dear friends, we're going to go into breakout rooms. And I want to tell you before we go in breakout rooms that we're not going to have as much time as we normally have, but it's going to be really, really important for you to stay on purpose. It's really easy when you get in a breakout room and you've got some good chummy people around you to start talking about other things than this class and that what we're working on. But if we want to accomplish what we need to accomplish at the time that we have here, we've got to stay focused on this material. And the thing I'm going to give you to work on in the breakout room today is really important that you get there. So make sure that each person gets an equal amount of time to talk. You're going to have about 24 minutes in the breakout room. Don't one person take up all the time, but also don't cut yourself off before you've actually talked about it. Here's what you're going to be talking about. I wrote it down up here. As spirit, I'm neither particle nor wave. I am the observer, therefore the creator. How do I change my thinking so I can be creator of a new life? So that's a big challenge. That's where we are right now in this class. I mean, we've gotten a lot of information. Now we're at the point where we got to start making some changes. It's time to put the rubber on the road. How do I change my thinking so I can be a creator of new life? See, kind of what I'm asking, because I talked about it a minute ago, is how do you get rid of all that stuff? See, you've got all of this baggage. You got all these beliefs and opinions about who you are and who you aren't, what you can do and what you can't do. You're in this class really hoping that something wonderful will happen. Now's the time to make it happen. Stay focused and talk about, how do I change my thinking? How do I change my state of being? How do I change my state of being so that I can become the miracle worker, so that I can be the creator, so that I can be the observer of waves and particles and bring about the reality that I want? How do I do that? How can I make that change? How can I uproot my old self and create a new self? Big question, big question. Let's work on it.